It is very important to have proper stability of your shoulder blades. These muscles that are in between, especially the ones up in here, often become overactive. So you really want to work on the rhomboids and the middle fiber traps and the lower fiber traps. So see how I'm squeezing my shoulder blades together? I'm also rotating my hands outwards. This is going to help really target those middle fiber trap muscles. So when you're squeezing your shoulder blades together, imagine you're trying to squeeze a sheet of paper between them and relax. So really squeeze. Now squeeze your shoulder blades down also towards your tailbone. You don't want your shoulders to rise up towards your ears. Turn your arms out. Also try not to arch your chest. Try not to put an arch in your back. You just want to keep the movement targeted between the shoulder blades, okay? So don't rise them up. You want to push the shoulder blades down as I just demonstrated. So now when you're squeezing them in, also extra pull them down just to really help to now wake up the lower fiber of trap muscles. Really pull and relax. So again, just as a reminder, don't stick your chest out. Keep your core nice and tight as if someone's about to punch you in the stomach, belly button towards your spine. So when you're squeezing back and pulling down, your spine is staying nice and neutral. Squeeze and pull down. Really engage that lower fiber trap. Engage the middle, even the rhomboids here. Engage the lower fiber trap and down. So now let's just get the arms circulating. You just want to bring blood flow to the area. Now that you got the idea of generally how to activate those muscles, we're going to start warming up a little bit here. Now this is generally an easier level, but for people who struggle with this, it might be a little bit difficult. So arms right out to the side, wrists in line with your shoulders, and you're going to do very slow circular motions with your arms. This is a postural corrective exercise to help get the arm right aligned with the joint. So let's go a little faster. It's very important, again, to keep the thumbs pointing backwards because we want to focus on targeting those posterior muscles, those posterior between the shoulder blades muscles that tend to be weaker because we, a lot of the time, do things always forward, right? We don't really pull or things like that like we used to. So we're going to keep going here. Keep the shoulder blades down. Do not let those creep up towards your ears. You want to practice still squeezing those shoulder blades together, activating those muscles, but not letting those upper fiber trap shoulder muscles bring your shoulders towards your ears. Shake that out a little bit. Let's grab an elastic band here, a TheraBand. I am starting with the easiest level since this is beginner, but if you've been doing this for a few weeks now, feel free to increase the intensity or strength of the band. So wrap it once or twice around your fist here. We're going to work on the external rotation, so this outward motion. Few important things to remember. Keep your elbow glued to your side. If you need to, put a towel between your elbow and your body to help you keep it pressing against. And when you're rotating your arm out, you want to think your shoulder blade, the tip of the shoulder blade is squeezing in towards your spine and slowly releasing. The key here is to really think about what you're contracting. You don't just want to turn your arm out. You want to squeeze your shoulder blade back to do that movement. Now I'll show you here from the back. You see how I'm really squeezing my shoulder blade and letting it slowly control back in. I'm squeezing out and slowly allowing the arm to go back in. Squeezing the shoulder blade. My elbow isn't leaving my side and my shoulder is not going towards my ear. Keeping everything compressed. Drive the shoulder blade, keep shoulder down, elbow by your side, and slowly control back in. Again, squeeze, 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 squeeze. and control back in. Switch to the other side. If you need to take a break, pause the video, get a drink of water, do whatever you need to do. We'll do the other side if you are ready. And what are the key components here? Elbow by your side, shoulder down, and using that shoulder blade muscle, the lower part of the corner of the tip of the shoulder blade, to move that arm back. See how I'm squeezing there? So right at the bottom of my shoulder blade, you'll see those muscles really engage right there as it's pulled towards the spine, because it's that muscle that I'm thinking primarily to be the one that's rotating my arm out. I'm going to do a few more here. Do your best to control the movement as best you can, and be mindful about what you're doing at all times. Elbow by your side, shoulder pressing down, squeezing the shoulder muscle to rotate out the arm. Elbow by your side, shoulder down, squeezing that shoulder blade muscle to pull your arm out. One more here. Quality over quantity. Really make sure that the movement is good. Now stand against the wall. We're going to just take a half a foot length forward. So the goal here, and the reason that we're doing this, is so when we point our thumbs back, we are now working those trap muscles, the middle fiber traps, even more. When we squeeze our shoulder blades together as if we're trying to hold a sheet of paper, we're making sure we're not touching the wall behind us. Okay, because if we do, then that means we're using our back to arch a little bit too much, or we are excessively pulling back using other muscles other than just the trap muscles to squeeze and pull our shoulder blades together. So it's just a really good way to check to make sure you're activating the right muscles, because your arms will come back a little bit, but they shouldn't come back to touch the wall. So if you can do this against the wall, that's great, because you can get a really good proprioceptive feedback as to what you're doing. And keep your core nice and tight. Squeeze those shoulder blades. Keep those shoulders down. Squeeze. Shoulder blades down and release. Keep squeezing. Make sure those shoulder blades are pressing down. If you need to, like I'm doing here, I'm squeezing and pulling down just for an extra reminder and wake-up call to my muscles. Shake it out. And if you can, we're going to go right away into the next one, and we're going to face the wall and work on the upper fiber trap muscles. Oftentimes one is weaker over the other, and we want to make sure when we're reaching up like this and trying to bring our shoulder blades towards our ears, our fingers are moving equal and they're traveling equally up besides one another. So if you look up to look at where your fingers are touching on the wall, are they equal, or does your left side not go as high as your right side? Thumbs pointing back, this will help to engage the upper fiber traps a little bit more if you can do this movement. And when you're pulling your shoulder blades back down, you're really pulling them down. So reach up, shoulders towards your ears, make sure their fingertips are equal. Now pull your shoulder blades back down towards your tailbone. Do not arch your back. This is only a shoulder blade movement exercise. Reach back up and down. And reach back up. Squeeze everything up and down. Don't arch your back. Squeeze up. Really focus on lifting those shoulder blades towards your ears and pulling the shoulder blades down along your rib cage. Good. And walk away and shake it out. You're going to walk again, half a foot length away from the wall. And this time we're going to point the thumbs forward to target the rhomboids. Now, same thing here. Squeezing those shoulder blades back. Your fists are not touching the wall. Want to just make sure, I did a double check there. Don't arch your back, nice tight core. Squeeze back and release. Again, the movement is coming from the shoulder blades. And release. Squeeze that sheet of paper. And release. Concentrate. The only movement is coming from the shoulder. I know I'm getting very repetitive, and I do in every one of my videos if you've been following and subscribing and doing the videos as I release them. I'm very big on rinse and repeat, constant repetition, because repetition is the key to learning. And you should constantly be repeating these things in your head when you're working out anyways, to make sure and hold yourself accountable that you are doing the right thing. Now I'm holding and squeezing here, really, really squeeze. Now turn your thumbs back and squeeze, keep squeezing. Squeeze, 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 squeeze. You're really, really trying to bring the blood flow here, and release. Good, so we'll stretch that out. And now let's get into the stretching. I'm gonna stretch out the chest muscles here. So we're gonna make sure our elbow is right in line with our shoulders. And I'll just show you, so you want to check just to make sure. So when you're lining up with the door frame, your elbows first are right in line with your shoulders. And take a step forward, let your chest fall through, and take deep breaths in through your nose, out through your mouth. The level of intensity of the stretch should be enough that you would be willing to hold the stretch for 5 minutes if you had to, but not so intense that you can barely stand it for 5 seconds. So find that balance. With every exhale, the stretch becomes more comfortable. Now push yourself back with the foot you step forward with, shake it out a little bit. And now we're going to stretch the upper part of our trap. So 45-degree angle, elbow down, and step forward and let that chest stretch. So you're going to feel it more again in the upper part. That's where you should be feeling it. If you do not feel it there, more close to your collarbone area, then keep trying to adjust the positioning of your elbow until you feel that stretch closer to your tail, or your collarbone rather. Again, breathe in through your nose, out through your mouth. With every exhale, the stretch is becoming more and more comfortable. In through your nose, out through your mouth, and you're making sure to breathe with your belly as opposed to your chest. Push back with the leg you step forward with. And now move your arms up to about a 45 degrees from your elbow to your shoulders, and lean forward and stretch the lower part of your pec muscle. These are great exercises that you can even do throughout the day, especially if you're stuck at a desk all day. It's nice to take a break every hour or so just to stretch to help reverse some of the causes. And even squeezing your shoulder blades back and down multiple times throughout the day is also another very effective way to incorporate this routine so that you can really accelerate those changes. Now grab the door frame, you're going to lean to the side. So this is just going to stretch out your entire lateral chain. So essentially just reach with your top hand and lean. Let your hips fall out to the side. Just to make sure you don't slip, you can make sure and rest your hip against the other side of the door frame. In through your nose, out through your mouth. Use your arms to pull you back and reach over to the other side, and same thing. In through your nose, out through your mouth. Should be a nice, comfortable stretch down the entire side of your body. Use your arms to pull yourself back up straight. And let's go to the floor. So go on to all fours here. And we're going to do cat and camel. So we're going to stretch out. We're going to press our shoulder blades apart from one another. And now squeeze them together and down to our tailbone. And push our shoulder blades apart. Tuck everything in. And squeeze your shoulder blades together and down as you look up towards the ceiling. Push shoulder blades apart. And squeeze shoulder blades together and down. So this is essentially, as we're stretching and mobilizing our spine, we're also basically doing a push-up for our shoulder blades. 2 in 1. Gotta love that. And squeeze shoulder blades together and down towards your tailbone. Push your shoulder blades apart. And now elbows towards the floor and let your head hang here. And push back into child's pose. We'll walk our hands out to one side. Doesn't matter what side, we're going to do both. It's about a 45-degree angle, and again, you should feel a stretch along the side of your body. Take a moment to inhale through your nose, exhale through your mouth. Breathing is very important. And unfortunately, a lot of us don't do it properly. And even taking 3 deep breaths in a day shows huge improvements of the oxygen levels in our brain, actually. And go over to the other side, 45-degree angle. Inhale and exhale with your belly. Really sink into that stretch. So we cover back up, and let's roll onto our back, and we're just going to do the final postural correction here. You're going to put your knuckles right in line with your temples, and your elbows will touch the floor. Bring your elbows together and back, so do not bend your wrists, and do not move anything else but the shoulder blades to bring your elbows together. Again, this is that final touch to really start to get all those muscles we worked on working simultaneously to move. It's important to have your elbows together, perfectly aligned. One is not forward, one is not back, one is not up, one is not down. They are lining up perfectly. So if you need to take this a little bit slower even than what I'm doing here, feel free to do so. Last 2 here. And last one. Let your arms rest out to the side. And just breathe here. Take a moment to just enjoy doing nothing and inhaling and exhale through your belly, and you utilize that diaphragm. And that's a wrap for today. Thank you for doing this video, and please try to keep it up. It's important to at least do strengthening exercise videos about 3 times a week, especially if you're just starting off. And once you begin to adapt to this and you say in the comments, you know what, Nichelle, I've been doing this for 3 to 4 weeks. This is starting to become too easy. Can you please make a more difficult one? I want to hear about what's going on. I want to know about your guys' journey. I want to hear if you're experiencing less pain, all that kind of stuff. And also subscribe so that once I do release a more difficult video, you'll be one of the first to know. Thanks for all your support.